0.5, 0.25,
0.15,
0.15.
0.00000015. There we go.
Oh, and it's just that simple.
It's just that simple. All right, now I'm going to go on Facebook and share it and see if we can get someone to watch this live this time.
Yeah, let me go do the same.
Oh.
Share it. Topic is trick. Where is it?
I love this stupid picture. Hold on, I got to put this in our group chat.
Got a confused face again?
Sort of. I posted this a few years ago, but it makes me laugh.
Don't think it's possible. Something shady is going on there.
It's like, I got to get out of here.
Bye.
That's right.
I didn't light the fire.
It was always burning since the world's been. Not that fire.
Crap. I posted that 8 years ago. Oh. Time flies when you're on Facebook.
Does it really, though?
Well,
where's the share button? Oh, I need to.
So you're going to be sharing it on, are you going to be putting it on Topic is Trek? Is that where I'll find it?
Well, it's on Topic is Trek. I'm not sure yet if I'm sharing as me or not.
You have to change the little icon at the top.
You have to, right below where it says plus, add a button. There's a little pull down.
I'm me down in the comments, so it must be me.
Okay.
Right, I had to open it up to full screen. Share this video with friends. Yes, I'll do that.
Share.
Public. Yep. Public is good. Oh. What's on your mind, Chuck? Just another day talking about the day at the elephant.
Do you guys feel, you and Donna and everybody feel comfortable going on the cruise?
Huh?
You do?
Uh-huh.
In the minute, and well, I know that
it's more strict with the testing and the guidelines than any place I've been locally. Went to a restaurant that was packed last night. That was nervous. Went to the golf tournament today. Excursions are still on again, off again. We're keeping tabs on those. We haven't booked anything on shore. We did book a couple of on-ship excursions, is what they're calling them. So it's like breakfast with Chase Masterson or mixology with Dr. Aaron McDonald, that kind of thing. So kind of
the plank. Come look at the plank.
Yeah. Come look at the lifeboats. Enjoy.
This is the guy with the hand sanitizer. Washy.
Yes, well.
Right.
I've got questions for you, sir. But
yeah,
I'm sure he's got.
I remember even coming home. Remember the last port was basically closed.
Listener Diane is here.
She's gonna take notes on us and keep us straight, right?
We've even booked our 2023 cruise already because you get the best pricing. Kind of like they renewed a show for season 3 before season 2 was even out.
Yeah, guess what? That's Picard season 4, 5, and 6 have been greenlit.
Yeah, that's really
it's cheaper if you book in advance. It's cheaper to get Picard season 3.
Because that's really far out. I remember that they started booking the year we all went.
They have onboard booking.
Yeah, but it didn't even start like the first day. It was a couple of days in, I think.
Next year we're going down the West Coast, starting in Los Angeles, and then Puerto Vallarta's on there. I forgot what all the ports are.
The Star Trek cruise is out of LA this time?
It's going to be out of LA, 2023.
You could drive there.
Yeah, or an hour flight. But yeah, if you drive, then what? You get bigger suitcases? You get to bring full-size shaving cream?
I don't use shaving cream.
So there's that.
Apparently.
Actually, I need to clean. I've ignored myself the last few days.
That's okay. We've ignored you too.
Yeah.
There it is, folks.
Oh, the setup was just too easy.
Yeah. So what do you think? Dave Slusher and Evo got into the podcast.
Yeah, I know.
That means we're next.
Yeah.
Absolutely, guys. It's our turn.
I started to tell Evo, hey, now that you're in, put in a good word for us.
And he said, If I can think of one, I will do that.
We don't do this for the
They're
awards,
nice.
people. We don't do this for the awards. We do this for you.
Lols.
Yeah, but I still see we got the Parsec Award listed on the on the website
from 2011. That's a major award.
We got it 11 years ago.
The podcast peer awards, it's like, how long ago were those? But
yeah,
I get the feeling that the Hall of Fame podcast movement, I wouldn't call anything a movement.
Well,
sounds like someone's in for.
I would call something a movement, all right, but
you get them Atlanta
in recognition.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, I think we're ready to record. How about you?
I think we're past ready to record it. That with those comments is what I think.
That's the pre-show. That's why you tune into the video and only listen to the podcast. Okay, we are recording in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is The Topic is Trek, episode 108 for Friday, February 11th, 2022. Coming up in this episode, back in the saddle with Pike. The protostar goes home. Well, sort of. And the UFP goes all UFC on us. All that and more right now on The Topic is Trek. The cats Mee-OW! Welcome to The Topic is Trek, the podcast that runs on impulse power. Join us for a journey where no show has gone before. If it has to do with Star Trek, there's a good chance we'll talk about it. Sooner or later, because on this show, the topic is Trek. Engage already. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another thrill-packed episode of The Topic is Trek. I'm one of your co-hosts, Clinton, and of course, to have other co-hosts, you have to have other co-hosts. Wow. This is getting as good as what Craig's catchphrase is. Anyway.
We're going to put that on a t-shirt, I think.
Speaking of which, beaming in to join me from parts unknown with his new hot, hip catchphrase is Mr. Craig Stepp.
Make a lick a high, make a hiney ho.
You were still materializing.
Boy, it certainly seemed like it with that catchphrase. So no, I'm sorry, John
He's
B.
got the new Discovery transporters, point to point.
Yeah. Chink, chink. Yeah.
And that other mystery voice beaming in from apparently already having beamed in is Mr. Chuck Tomasi.
I need no beaming. Let's see. There's a great catchphrase in the latest Discovery. There's a lot of great catchphrases in there. If you're listening to, what was his name? Haz Mazzaro. He had a lot of really interesting phrases. I thought the Universal Translator was malfunctioning at times, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
The dealer guy?
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Well, we did not get a chance to record last week. So this time around, we're going to be talking about not only the two-part mid-season finale, as opposed to the other break that it had, the mid-first half of the season break thing. This is I know it's so confusing now.
Broken in parts.
Of Star Trek Prodigy, and also the first episode of the return from its mid-season break of Star Trek Discovery. We need a scorecard. We definitely have to have a score.
It's kind of like spring break. Not every school takes spring break at the same time.
Right. I think we need a break at the same time.
We could use a spring break.
All right. We are going to start off with the thing that I dread the most in the show, and that's getting the okay from Charlie to do subspace chatter. So Charlie, are we all set for subspace chatter?
Not going to do it. Not going to do it.
You don't need all that subspace chatter.
Yeah.
Called it again.
He needs to go back to some therapy or something.
All right. Well, why don't you start us off with Chuck with a little bit of an update on something we're all interested in?
I will. Star Trek is working on yet another new show. How about that? It's a TV series with a classic twist. According to CBS Studios, they're working on a new show around Starfleet Academy, but they're going to take it back a few years. They could have these college students that are going through Academy that are working their way up. So as I apologize for this read in advance, following the streaming platform's TCA executive session on Thursday, January 27th, Deadline has confirmed that CBS Studios and Alex Kurtzman's studio-based Secret Hideout are developing Starfleet Academy, a new series that is likely to be based on the 1990s video game of the same name.
Have any of you played that game? I've seen some cutscenes from it, but I've never played it.
Actually,
I have not.
I did play it. It's been a long time ago. But if you go hunt around on YouTube, I mean, you don't have to hunt very hard, but you can find people where they cut the movie out of it. So it's like
Yep.
there's like over an hour's worth of. It's really almost like a feature length movie with all the stuff, and it's okay. It seems a little cheesy because it's a CD-ROM game cut together, but it's watchable. Yeah.
So what they're going to do, as I mentioned, follow a bunch of college cadets as they're being geared up to take on leadership roles within the United Federation of Planets Space Force. The publication suggests that Abstentia co-creator Gaia Violo will be spearheading the project. During the presentation, Nicole Clemens, president, Paramount Plus original scripted series, noted that the long-gestated Star Trek Discovery spin-off Section 31, which, of course, we'll see Michelle Yeoh reprise her role as Philippa Georgiou, was still in the works. It'll be pitched to Paramount Plus shortly, and the hope is to get it going in the next year, some sources claimed, while Clemens suggested that news on it is expected to be announced very soon. So we could get something. This is a teaser.
I like how they say pitch it to Paramount, because it's like, does Paramount not read any of the news? Because we've been talking about it for months. It's like, this is a surprise.
And I have something to throw in here as far as the Section 31 series goes, because in one of my other feeds that I have where it's news on streaming shows, Michelle Yeoh is now going to be in another series. She's going to be in a series called American Born Chinese on Disney Plus. So her schedule is pretty darn full. If she's still going to be in Section 31, where is this going to fit in? And we've asked that question before, but once again, now with another series that she's doing, where is this going to fit in? Just don't know. All right, well, let's move on to our second story. And this one's a sad note here, but earlier this week, special effects genius Douglas Trumbull passed away at the age of 79. People will know him from a bunch of different things. Most notably for me, he was the special effects wizard behind 2001: A Space Odyssey. He also worked on Blade Runners, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and he was one of the teams brought in to fix the effects that were almost non-existent for Star Trek: The Motion Picture, what I would call in the 11th hour. So Douglas Trumbull was a genius when it came to this stuff. He invented all different techniques to use for things, and certainly his work will be highlighted once again when we get to see that updated version of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, because a lot of those shots, they're really not going to do anything more with those shots than reproduce them, the film itself, in 4K. The shots are amazing in that, as they were in virtually everything that he worked on. An interesting note that apparently they're going to be able to turn something around rather quickly, because on Monday, executive producer and co-showrunner of Picard retweeted a number of remembrances and revealed that Star Trek Picard will be honoring Trumbull with a Starfleet ship named the USS Trumbull. NCC 72370. Now, I don't know whether that's going to be in season 2 or season 3 of Picard.
I would think season 2 is pretty well rendered out.
Yeah, let's hope so. So they don't have a mid-season break in Picard.
Yeah,
But
Trumbull had to come back and finish out Picard season 2.
Yeah,
we didn't have time to update the graphics, so we just put a piece of tape over it.
Yeah,
doesn't release you from your obligations. Yes.
Now, you know, a lot of I think he worked in what I think, in my mind, the golden age of sci-fi, where as far as films go, when they're trying to figure out these effects and they come out with something really breathtaking. You know, that same time frame, we're talking like Star Wars and all that stuff too, where they're all by the seat of their pants going, well, let's try this, you know, and it comes out something beautiful. And I think that's a awesome practical effect kind of era, which I think is lost in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and also a lot of the people that worked with Trumbull on a bunch of these things then became heads of their own production houses, which led right into Star Wars and Industrial Light and Magic and all the things that came after that. So definitely on the cutting edge of this stuff, taking it from the bad green screen matte era into something really amazing.
Right.
All right. So what do we have next, Craig?
All right. So in preparation for Strange New Worlds, we get not a teaser, but we got a poster, which is kind of a teaser, I guess.
We'll take it.
Yeah. So following the TCA Paramount Plus presentation earlier this week, where executives outlined plans for Star Trek and other shows, the streamer held a number of panels for individual upcoming series, including the highly anticipated Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Where's my reverb?
Worlds.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. Anyway, so on hand for the Strange New Worlds virtual panel was executive producers Alex Kurtzman, Akiva Goldsman, and Henry Alonzo Myers, along with series actors Anson Mount, Ethan Peck, Rebecca Romaine, and Celia Rose Gooding, who's playing Uhura, as a matter of fact. So the panel kicked off with confirmation that production on the second season has begun, with Ethan Peck still in costume. And there's a tweet that from somebody at the panel saying that Ethan Peck showed up with his Vulcan ears on because he was currently shooting and was in costume.
Which is hilarious because that's very Galaxy Quest of him, you know, showing up in his outfit.
That's right. That's right. So Paramount Plus released the first poster for the season with the panel. It shows Captain Pike on horseback with the USS Enterprise above with the tagline, "The frontier is waiting." The scenery evokes Pike's home in Mojave as he looks up to the ship and alien worlds.
So is
which
he
is
writing
really
on,
cool.
Is he writing on Tango as seen in the original pilot?
Perhaps. I imagine he might. So I got a question for you guys. So when they release posters like this, what do you do? Print them out? What I mean, it's not a poster poster.
No, you could, depending on the resolution of the thing, it would look pretty good, but you'd have to have big paper, big printed to print out as a poster.
Take it out of FedEx Kinko's.
Yeah. Look, here's my poster on 8.5 by 11 paper. It's really amazing.
Well, I mean, you know, all the time from movies and this and even some other TV shows, they say, we released a poster. Oh, that's great. You know, it's a JPEG.
Well,
you can put it as your phone background.
Is it any different than getting online stickers? It's like, what do you mean it's a sticker?
Are they fungible or non-fungible?
Oh, they're fungible. All right.
Yeah. When I'm texting somebody, add a sticker. Oh, okay. Anyway, so regarding the new poster, Alex Kurtzman said it represented how Strange New World speaks of the final frontier when it was in its infancy, and the new art showed the spirit of adventure presented on the show. I agree. I think
Enterprise showed us what the new frontier was in its infancy. This is more like toddlerism.
Well, look how young the Enterprise looks. I mean, come on.
That's right.
So Paramount Plus released an official show description.
And what did they say about this show?
They said Star Trek Strange New Worlds is based on the years Captain Pike manned the helm of the USS Enterprise. I don't think he manned the helm itself, but he was captaining it. Anyway, the series will feature fan favorites from season 2 of Star Trek Discovery. Anson Mount as Captain Christopher Pike, Rebecca Romaine as number 1, and Ethan Peck as Science Officer Spock. The series will follow Captain Pike, Science Officer Spock, and number 1. Let's repeat all their names one more time.
I was going to say that's a very lazy copy.
Someone had word count to meet.
Let's just cut and paste that. Cut and paste that.
Try that again.
In the years Captain Kirk boarded in the years before Captain Kirk boarded the Enterprise, as they explore new worlds around the galaxy.
All right. Nice
I do like it. I'd love to have a little poster, but I don't know. Nobody can tell me what they do with these posters.
Well, I bet you if you go to one of those sites where you can get, posters that are 11 by 17 and so forth, or you pay a lot more, you can get bigger. I bet you can get this as a poster to actually hang up.
Well, I do have a poster of the showdown in Kirk's quarters. That picture with Gary and I, and around the corner.
You better keep going with this explanation because it's going all horribly wrong at this point.
Well, actually, for those of you who haven't seen it and are listening to the show, we visited the Star Trek Enterprise set where they filmed Star Trek Continues in Georgia, and we were in costume. We were playing around as we were visiting, and it's really a cool place. They open it all the time for fan events, certain weekends. But I had a picture of Gary Lindros, friend of the show and friend of ours, and myself, and we're around that little little half wall in Kirk's quarters. And I'm on one side with a phaser, he's on the other. It looks like we're going to jump up and shoot each other. Or it looks like that scene from was it Police Academy where they're on behind the trash can?
They're having the gun fight 3 feet away from each other.
I'm just wondering which one of you is the salt monster. That's all I'm wondering.
That would be Gary.
Both of them are shapeshifters. We're all in trouble.
Yeah, Gary's kind of salty.
I got another quick one for you today. This appeared on, as we record this, today's Washington Journal. I sent you guys a picture in the Facebook chat group.
Yes, I was.
And
there
was an interesting painting on the wall. They were talking to a Mr. Michael Kaufman about the Russia-Ukraine tensions that are going on right now. And alongside him, over his right shoulder, is a picture of, well, it's clearly Patrick Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he might be dressed up as Captain Picard, but this is more like Admiral Nelson outfit. Yeah. It's not his gear that he had from Star Trek Generations. It looks much more weathered than that, or older than that. So I've never seen that picture before. It's got my interest piqued. Like, where did he get this and why?
I've seen tons of these. You can go search for them. There's some with Data, and of course other sci-fi characters.
Wait, what would Data be? Hanging around like an old ENIAC?
No. What they do is they take these pictures, they make them look like vintage naval officers.
Yeah, they have ones with steampunk and all different eras of
interesting
these things. But
they're actually, a lot of them are really good. And there's Data, he's got the collar kind of like that, facing the other way. It's pretty cool. You have to
having read his title, this would be more appropriate. It says Michael Kaufman, Center for Naval Analyses, Russia Studies Research Program Director. So, he's obviously involved with Navy research. So sure, why not put a naval picture on the wall of Patrick Stewart?
Or this is a person who time travels, and he's actually got a picture
of Spock in a tricorder. He's got a tricorder. He's got a tricorder, but he's dressed up as I don't know, what would you call that? Revolutionary War outfit.
Yeah, they're like
tricorn hat.
Well, if we go visit that link I sent you real quick. I know we're recording the show, but you can see the classic TOS, all of them.
Well, why don't you put a link to that in the show notes?
Show notes.
Oh, that's a great idea. Maybe I
It is
should.
indeed.
Boy.
So you can find a link to that as well as a bunch of other stories that we didn't get a chance to talk about by going to the show notes for episode 108 over at The Topic is Trek. I was going as slow.
Nice and slow. I'm going to ring the bell slowly too. Ding.
Yeah, all sorts of stories in there, including that one about Michelle Yeoh and the cast of Discovery, some feature articles on them, some more articles about Strange New Worlds. Some of it's speculation. I tried to weed out some of those and have it be more of the news or tidbits of information from the upcoming shows. But sometimes you click on an article that you think is going to be news and it just isn't.
Clickbait.
Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of clickbait, can we click on Charlie now?
Well, that is the next thing, because after my worst time of the episode, my favorite time of the episode right now is to say goodbye, Charlie.
Sure, whatever you say.
Oh, your voice.
Want to say.
Hey, Clinton, that
I know he's going through the change, but that I don't know.
I got to say that background of yours. I think I remember the ship. That's the one that.
Shh, we're talking about that later.
Stuck on.
We'll be talking about this very, very soon. Because
didn't you do your homework, Craig?
Wait a minute. No, look at the two consoles behind you. They look like treadmills. It's like you're at the gym.
Maybe they are.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's right. It's a standing desk there on the bridge. All right, it's time to head out on our main mission with an appropriate sound effect.
Hmm.
He always makes me laugh.
Apparently, Eric thinks this is hilarious, so we'll go with it. This time around, we're going to be talking about, as I said, the two-parter mid-season finale, end of part one season finale of Star Trek Prodigy.
It's
called
Amoral Star.
Yes.
No, is it amoral?
It's a moral star, which, by the way, is an anagram for Tars Lamora. Think about, see how that worked out?
Didn't see that coming.
Parts 1 and parts 2. Now, this was written by, I'm not going to read all the names because the credit for this is the entire writer's room. And here's a piece of trivia for you. With 9 names, this sets the record for the most writers credited for a single episode of Star Trek.
We're going to put that to music.
I imagine that's got to be with that many people and working on it. That's got to be hard to coordinate.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell whether everybody contributed to the episode without knowing that, or this is an acknowledgement of the fact that, as I've said all along, this is just like one long episode that, somebody's idea gets carried from here to there and somebody's idea gets carried from there to there. And by the time you get to the end, you're playing off and paying off all these different things. And so maybe that was an acknowledgement that really this episode wasn't just 1 or 2 people writing it. This was everybody. Because I know that if you tried to write a story in a room with 9 people, you don't end up with anything that you ever want to film. It just wouldn't happen that way.
Well, and everybody would have, you could easily have 2 or 3 people have a different take on the same scene.
Or one of these people, their sole contribution was, "Go fast." That was my line.
Move.
All right, so let us talk about this. I gave a very short synopsis to this because there's just so much to talk about here. I say the diviner gives the crew of the Protostar an impossible choice. There you go. That's the entire synopsis.
Yay. Good night, everybody.
I'm hooked. 10.0.
Yeah.
10.0. Let's just cut to the chase.
Tell me more. Of course, the impossible choice is, well, you can flee, and that's going to be a big problem for everybody here. The unwanted are just going to be, or you can return with the protostar, give it to me, and I will free all the unwanted. And they have to make that choice. Matter of fact, they really leave it up to Dal, which now we're
He
this many.
struggles.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing for him because he's acknowledging the fact that, well, this is kind of our Kobayashi Maru because this is
Mm-hmm.
a no-win scenario, and I can't just do this with one of my, wacky half-baked schemes.
Well, you have to wait before we get in there. You got to back up to how they got this message.
Beep, beep. Oh, right. So they got the message because that 3D printed dreadnought that we saw, it apparently never came to life that they realized because they have it in the crew's quarters. The head gets knocked off on the ground, and the head starts projecting this message from the diviner,
which is a very Obi-Wan, help me Obi-Wan Kenobi moment.
Yeah.
Because you got a partial message. Now, nobody's screwing around with the dreadnought head, but eventually the full message comes out. I'm going, projection of a message. Where have we seen that before?
Well, there's nothing new in science fiction, so
yeah, that's true.
I thought this was a little obvious, but
it's all been done once or twice.
They get their message. They got to make a decision. They decide to go back and give it up. But here's another nod to Star Trek.
Yes.
The diviner changes his plans. Pray that I don't change them again.
Oh,
now you're crossing the streams.
They cross the streams. I'm just noticing it.
Well, before we and that's like back to Westerns for that type of thing. But before we get there, we get to see the entire crew in uniform, including Janeway.
I like those uniforms. I'm wondering if anybody's got a sewing machine fast enough to get one of these for the cruise in a couple.
I can guarantee you somebody on the cruise will probably have.
Hey, and look at look also on the positive, they're symmetric, unlike Discovery, where they have the uneven bottom.
The producers said that the uniform is designed to be a very specific to the Protostar being an experimental ship, and that they went with that design and those colors to say, well, not that the people who were supposed to be on the Protostar wouldn't be Starfleet, but these people really aren't Starfleet, so you're kind of giving them this low-key version of a Starfleet uniform. So that's why it's kind of very muted and different looking, but it kind of looks like other things,
like a Gucci knockoff.
Yeah, no.
I was just talking about because as we watched Discovery tonight, I was like, now I can't unsee.
Well, you know what happened? Well, on Discovery, the whole deal is that they keep buttoning them the wrong way. You know when you button, you start the wrong button and it just goes all sideways.
Stupid muscle memory. I did it again.
That's what that is. All right, but now they finally end up back at Tars Lamor, and I didn't remember it being cloaked before. Had we seen that it was cloaked at some point or another? Because the diviner.
I believe so. I believe so.
I couldn't
think
recall
it was. I remember the shield for sure, but I don't remember because remember Dahl was trying to get past it.
Right. So that that shield comes into play here is kind of important. But we have everybody come off the ship, and of course, as we find out later why this is the case, Jankum Pog makes a point of saying, well, Zero, certainly, I'm worried too about this stuff, as he's carrying Zero.
Right.
Bonnie picked up on that immediately, going,
I
why
didn't
would Zero need to be carried?
Right. When they floated all over the place before, or on legs. So I thought, for me, I didn't pick up on that right away.
Yeah, for me, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Because I didn't pick up on it either.
Now in the second watching, it's very obvious, that they had to do some of these things.
So I'm gonna leave, and Bonnie's gonna come in and take my place now for the rest.
I was gonna say, well, to Clinton's point, that's why we all have wives.
That's right.
Mine's out of town. I'm failing miserably.
Things.
I've got a handicap without a wife. Well, and after they make this deal, and Jankum says, "Why does it feel like we lost?" To which Dahl replies, "Because we did the right thing." Wow, there's some good lines in this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because the diviner does say, well, Gwen's coming with me, and I'm basically going to blow up the power supply for this place. The shields are going to come down, and you're all going to die.
Sort of.
I didn't
Not
say
right
you were
away.
going to. Didn't say you were going to live. I
Yeah.
just said, you could be here.
Well, they had this great plan, and they had a great montage where they're all practicing. You know what to do. I think they said that a few times. You know what to do.
You know what to do.
And then there was a point when I was like, was this really part of their plan, or did they get a curveball?
Well,
Yeah,
when they're in 0G, Jankum's still screaming. He goes, "Okay, you can drop the act. They're gone now."
Yeah, that's right. I like that.
Yeah, it was very Mission Impossible type of thing they had going on here, because
they all pull their masks off and they're each other.
They're all Martin Landau. How could that be? That makes no sense.
Mr. Greenlee,
right.
I would have got away with it if it weren't for you meddling Prodigy kids.
Yeah.
I have one issue though. He blows up the power generators. They lose gravity. They lose the shields.
Yep.
They're floating around. Eventually, Zero comes out. The real Zero gives them these booster packs. They turn them on, and there's thrusters on these things, but they're not going anywhere. But they're in 0G. Now, if you had turned on any thruster, you would have moved. So why do they need a thruster to stay in one place in 0G? No one else had them. They didn't need them before. It's like, they shouldn't have turned those on right away.
I think it was so they could get some mobility.
Well, yes, so they could. But if you watch, they put the packs on and they light them up. But they're not moving. They're sitting there talking to each other for a while.
They're priming the pump, Chuck, and they were testing it.
Right. It's like a jet engine. It doesn't achieve full thrust right away.
Yeah.
They hadn't turned off the inertia dampeners yet. So they just
that's right.
Docking clamps are still engaged. Let go of my leg, Rock.
Yeah, because they do have to get all the unwanted to the ship, to the Rev 12. And including some Starcroft's lovers, apparently, who are trying to have a tender moment.
I had to write their names
right now.
My name is Gorgslot. My name is Trodo. I've wanted so long to talk.
That's right.
And we get to see our favorite Cation again. Well, one of many. Now that species is showing up everywhere. Now those cats. Those darn cats are everywhere, all over Star Trek now.
And there's like litter boxes everywhere.
And I think we all kind of figured that if you show that character 3 or 4 times before they leave, we're going to see that character again. And sure enough,
we did, but it really just said, we have a voice now. And then, the big moment where Cation slices the head off Dreadnought.
Right. Well, I think that's kind of big. It's kind of a big payoff there.
Yeah.
They didn't need to. Okay. I thought Jankum went all postal on that one watcher. He said, "Here, you work on the engine. I'll hold the door." And then he gets it, and he just goes berserk on that thing.
It's not his forte. He probably just figured I'm just going to bang. Remember, percussive is the key with him. So he's probably the way to break it is just bang, bang, bang.
Well, he's an engineer.
He was fixing the watcher.
Yeah, he's an engineer.
Right, but since it was already fixed, you bang to break it instead.
Did anyone pick up on the music and how close it was to Alt-Verse music?
No, I picked
up. I really enjoyed the music, but I noticed
there in some places to other things, but I didn't pick up on
it. Was related to what again?
The Alt-Verse. Kelvin timeline music. J.J. Abrams movies.
Oh, I see. Maybe a little bit, You always hear
that's
Voyager
the Alt-Verse music.
Yeah.
The Prodigy music a few times in these last couple episodes is really close to that in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we have on the Protostar, we have the diviner, at that point he's discovered that the star is not on the ship, and they have to make a U-turn.
again.
They have to make a U-turn and go back. But before they do that, we get to see Janeway turned
Dark.
into a
Brooding.
kind of like with the rouge on her face. Was she supposed to be like a mime or something? I couldn't figure out.
Mirror universe.
Odd choice of makeup there. Yeah, she's trying to work her way out of a box.
She turned Sith on Star Trek.
And it's very
That's all
easy
it
to
takes.
override all the systems on her protocols.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get the reveal of why the diviner is doing what he's doing and where he is from.
Yes. I thought that was interesting. And I love the delivery that John Noble gave on this performance. He just gets into it. As much as I don't like the diviner as a character, I love John Noble's delivery of this. And we found out that they're from a planet called Solum. She knew that. I don't know if we ever heard that before. And the race is the Vaunakat.
Right, which
did I say that right?
Referred to it. Yeah, they've referred to that all the time.
And she
That's
said,
the little
no,
Fig Newton cookies, isn't it?
The diviner said, no, they're
those are Lorna
still
Dooms.
alive. They're still alive and the planet exists. The problem is Starfleet's
50
going
years
to.
from
Oh,
now.
spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Hold on.
Well, at this point, it's kind of late for that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So,
by the way, we just had, the horses went out about an hour ago.
he's got a revenge thing going on for something that hasn't happened yet.
Right. So he's kind of pulling a Nero.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Yep.
At that point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's seen the destruction that happened and blames Starfleet and the Federation for it. And so he's going to preemptively take care of all this.
There is no barrier we cannot overcome.
And
Now,
to me, that's foreshadowing about something else that we didn't see. I don't think we're done with the diviner, but we'll get there eventually.
So Gwyn flips Janeway back into color mode instead of black and white.
But more.
She reaches around and pulls out like some life support hose on him.
Well. Before
is that ethically right or not? I was having.
Before then, right? She turns Janeway back because she demimes Janeway, and the diviner comes walking along, and she puts her hand out and pushes him.
Yes,
and she says, "Like I said, upgrades." So suddenly she's solid. And I was looking for, is there a portable emitter or something? Nope, there's nothing. She's just solid in this thing. So that was a pretty significant upgrade that happened to Janeway at that point. But yeah, I was trying to figure out exactly what she had ripped off of him. It was clearly, he wasn't bleeding. It was the liquid that was, I don't know, was it helping him move?
It was something on life support because he immediately went to his knees and he's having a hard time breathing. And then he's like, Prodigy, please. He can hardly breathe, but yet they've got time to go to the holodeck and have a tour of.
Yeah, but I think at that point when he says, I will show you, I think that they put that piece back. I don't think
they did.
I'm pretty sure. I think they did.
Let me duct tape that.
I think they did. Or it got repaired somehow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they go to the holodeck and they get to see their planet as it exists now. But the story is that,
what was it, 50 years from now?
Right, because Starfleet comes along and makes first contact. And apparently this fractures the civilization into factions that want to be part of the Federation and people that want to stay independent. And it essentially kills the planet. I mean, wow, that's he said that Starfleet lit the fire and then just left.
Which I think his logic is flawed, but probably over the years that may have happened because something else could have fractured that society besides a first contact. There were underlying problems before Starfleet came along.
It could be just his point of view. Maybe
it's not Starfleet's fault. It's inherent in your society's fault that this was going to happen at some point. It just happened to be Starfleet. So get over it.
Well, before he can get over it, Dal comes along and is going to try to save the day because he's got 2 phasers
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Just as he's about to beam out, and Gwen says, "Let me know what. Tell me you have a plan." And he's beaming out. And he says, "I'll let you know when I have one."
Yeah.
Is that or is that not a Kirk line?
It's almost like an
I don't know.
Indiana
It's- I mean,
Jones line. We make it. I'm making
He
up as I
says,
go.
he says, "I'll tell you when I've got one," and then he beams out. I swear I've heard that before, and it just felt very like Cowboy
It is
Kirk
very
kind of.
Kirk-like.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a Kirk line. I'm sure there's somebody screaming into their,
Ear
headphones
holes.
or something if they can, and they can certainly leave us a comment on the Facebook page if that is the case. If we've heard it someplace, but he immediately takes care of Dahl. It's like 3 seconds and Dahl goes, "This is not what I really had planned on happening," because
That's
he
not
uses
the way I planned as it turning out.
he uses his, I don't know, I'm going to call it for lack of a better term, his version of programmable matter, the same thing that's the heirloom that he gave to
that
Gwen
liquid metal that you can bend to your will, whatever it is. But he shoots out like 10 of them at once out of his hands.
Yeah, he's Spider-Man as well, so that's interesting. And the Tobey Maguire one, because there's no thing. But anyway, so then Gwen comes after him, and she fails miserably as well, and he's about to just go and take care of business when Zero shows up, and Zero does something unexpected, even unexpected by me.
Yeah, I did not expect that either.
No,
she reveals
did it with such intensity.
I should say they. I keep saying she. They. I believe it is they.
She said, "I don't want to go back to Tars Lamora because I'm afraid the diviner will turn me into a weapon again."
Right. And so, what does she do? She becomes a weapon.
Gets a naked Medusan, basically, which is no good on whoever's looking.
Oh, yeah.
Woe be to you, Medusan perverts.
So the diviner is just staring, as we've seen other people do when faced with this in the original series episode. And Dahl is saying to Gwen, "Don't look at that. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me." But overlooks the fact that his shiny, shiny badge lets her see a reflection of the Medusan.
Yeah. Just a small little reflection. That's all it was needed.
I loved that because it didn't give you that happy ending, or at least you're like, oh. And even Janeway said in her epilogue to that scene, she's like, "Well, it came at a cost." And like, wait, they had to sacrifice a character, or at least the shell of a character.
Yeah, I mean, we hear afterwards that except for a blank in her memory of this actual incident, so she just has this vague inkling about there's something wrong with going to Starfleet, but it's like so minute in the back of her mind. She just, when she hears the term "go to Starfleet," she's taken aback.
She gasped. Yeah, I thought that was foreshadowing too. Something's up in my mind about that. Not to mention she's got a thing on the side of her head.
Well, I thought that the gasp was because something is triggering her to say it's wrong, we shouldn't do it, because she's mumbling, "We can't go, we can't go, we can't go," when she's being held by Dahl. So she hears that they're going to Starfleet, and it just takes her by surprise that I think that that's wrong, but she can't pin it on anything. So she's just going, "Everything's fine, no problem with it." Now, the question that I have, and a theory that I have about it, is that the diviner says that this plan of his was not to like send a bomb or something to stop Starfleet. It was to essentially do to Starfleet what he feels that Starfleet did to his planet by introducing something that will sow the seeds of discontent, distrust, and so forth within the Federation, and essentially wipe out the concept of the Federation. So the Federation will never go to his planet because there is no Starfleet anymore. I'm wondering, because Janeway has these gaps in her memory, I'm wondering if Janeway has been programmed somehow to be part of that.
She's a virus, you think?
Because she would be on the ship no matter how it got there. So it's something already on the ship, and it's not a bomb. So it's not like, the crew's going to come aboard and something's going to wait or take off someplace or something like that. It has to be something else. And the one thing I can think of is, well, Janeway, and she's got some things that she can't remember.
Could be. And speaking of Janeway, we go to the closing scene. And we find, was an ensign, a trill, or some crewman that's saying, there it is again.
Yeah.
Another blip. And you see,
We see
Janeway
a coffee
say,
mug.
Let's go get it. And they take off in the USS Dauntless.
Yes.
Registry NCC 80816.
But they put Voyager in a museum.
Which is different than the Dauntless we see in Hope and Fear, Season 4, Episode 26 of Voyager.
It is.
That one was NX-01A, which should sound familiar because Enterprise from the Enterprise series was NX-01.
It is different. If you look on the outside, the front of the ship is similar. The back of the ship is not elongated like the one in Prodigy.
I thought it was pretty elongated. It was a similar
well, it was
hull
more
design.
of it was kind of like taking the one from Voyager and kind of turning it into a Volkswagen Beetle.
But okay, now let me get this straight. The one from Voyager, was created by this alien guy. I forgot what his name, Rome, whatever his name was.
Who had the chip on his shoulder because of
he stylized. He put a skin over the interior so they think, oh, we're on the bridge of a Starfleet vessel. But then it really wasn't. Okay. Yeah. He removed the skin from the bridge, but apparently he forgot the other parts of the ship because later in the episode, you see them down in engineering or wherever it was, trying to override the navigational controls on an LCARS interface on his ship. Went, okay, so this isn't an all or nothing. And eventually this ship gets sucked into Borg space and assimilated. So why would you model one of our ships, name one of our ships after something that was a fallacy from another race?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things going on here. The first one is I'm assuming that this means that this Dauntless does quantum slipstream as well, because why wouldn't it? Why would you?
Are we going to drag race quantum slipstream against protostar technology and see who's faster?
Yeah, that's right.
The second part is the exterior doesn't look exactly the same, but behind me, I have the bridge of the ship.
The original Dauntless.
Right. And there are differences in the fact that this ship that was on Voyager did not have the two stations at the front, and Janeway's bridge has the two stations, the traditional two stations at the front for nav and so forth.
But it does have the treadmills in the back.
Else is the lighting on the sides, the formation of the ceiling, everything else. There's little consoles at the back, almost look like phone booths or video game things. Those are exactly the same. The placement of the so that was my question: is why would you so carefully recreate that bridge? It can't be tied into, well, the quantum slipstream only works if your ship looks like this. But so I'm wondering, and I don't think this is going to be addressed. I really don't think it's going to be addressed. But if it were, what I in my headcanon on this is that Janeway probably, when she heard that they were going to take the information that Voyager clearly had about how the quantum slipstream worked, because they got Voyager to do that once and then they couldn't do it a second time, but they had the information. So they took that back with them. Janeway feels guilt over what she actually did to this guy's civilization, right? Because she essentially got them wiped out by teaming up with the Borg to kill species 8472. That she says, well, let's make it look kind of like this.
Let's pay homage to this crazy old guy.
I mean, because I can't think why else the outside looks kind of the same and the inside looks exactly
a lot of same.
We haven't seen the engine room. If the engine room looks like the same engine room, then it's really getting, all sorts of weird.
But that I could actually explain away better, because like you said, that's the quantum slipstream drive. It's got to look that way based on the plans and the information they had. So engine room, I would expect to look more like the engine room of the Dauntless NX-01A. But the rest of the ship, I ain't buying it. There's something off. Yeah, why would you design it that way? I mean, it's clearly not the same ship that got assimilated by the Borg.
Oh, right, because that ship got assimilated by the Borg, and they were nowhere near. The Voyager took off in the opposite direction as soon as they were able to get off of there. So, yeah, that's definitely not the same ship. I don't know. I think because we're now dealing with time travel in this story, it starts to get all muddy.
Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. Oh, wrong show.
You don't know. You just don't know everything at this point. And one of the things is that the badges that they're wearing look kind of like the ones in the season finale, the series finale of Voyager. So that's the future. Okay. But you have other inconsistencies, but clearly it's within the same time frame of what's happening on the protostar, because I believe what the person at the console says is, or no, Janeway says 3 times. That's the 3rd time this has happened, and they activated the proto drive 3 times on the protostar.
Oh, so they can detect. You're right. I hadn't counted the other.
Right.
I missed that connection.
Right. That's right.
So it's definitely within the time frame, but I think we're not getting all the answers. Now, the other question I had for you guys is, we're watching this episode, and this is aimed at a younger audience.
Mm-hmm.
We have zero.
We do.
Drive this girl's father mad.
Uh-huh. In a very vengeful way.
Yeah, screaming and yelling and all sorts of. Did it strike you as, okay, what age is this going to be for now?
Ours.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I'd say pretty much. Yeah, I would say that well, I don't know how else you're going to wrap that up unless everybody decides to love each other.
Yeah, but still, the violence of that scene, I would say, 10 to 12 would be the minimum I'd let my kids watch that.
Yeah, because
I would see the same thing playing out on a regular episode of Star Trek, and even in a dark way in that.
This whole double episode felt like a regular episode of Star Trek to me.
He'll be okay. We're going to see him again.
Well, that's the thing, is that
the Diviner?
Yeah, because you don't leave him alone on the planet, and then that somehow Dreadnought can.
Well, look,
create another version of himself.
When they panned up, though, when they showed that overhead shot of him, it looked like he was making a Starfleet logo or something.
He was.
Okay. Actually, I thought when they left him,
the Federation.
I thought he reminded me a lot of the Discovery Spock when we first met him. He's like going, writing on the walls and stuff, and and he turned out okay.
That's right. And he's fine now. So Burnham will come along and just go, "Hey, I can take care of this for you."
That's right.
I just don't. I just have a feeling that we're not done with that character. He could be that he's still crazy. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he's going to come back going, "Oh, I'm
crazy." You mean?
Yeah, exactly. That he'll come back even more, after the protostar. So I just have this feeling we're not done with him yet. Oh, and talking about what he was drawing in the dirt there, the oak leaves of the Federation.
Sorry, yeah.
It was, well, that's okay, because my point was that they really were, in some of the dialogue, bouncing back and forth about what the Federation was and what Starfleet was.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was like, well, that's not really what Starfleet would be involved with. It's like saying, well, the government and the Navy, it's like, well, they're not interchangeable.
Right.
So, the United
it's almost like saying the Navy and NATO.
Or the United Nations. And it's just, so it was confusing at times for me. I'm thinking, well, why would Starfleet be doing so? You mean the Federation is doing that sort of thing?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Just a couple of beats there. All right, we should wrap this one up because we still have another episode to go. And
so what are we going to rate this on? What a scale of dreadnought heads?
Sure.
Because we got an endless supply of those apparently all over the place.
Yeah, just keep
3D print me another one.
Yeah.
Okay, I will start off on this one. So we'll say the together, right? The two-parter as a unit, as we were talking about them as a unit. I'm going to give this one a 9. I thought that there were some issues of, I don't think kids could think, nothing against younger people.
I don't say, be careful, choose your words wisely.
Well, trying to think for anybody, this Mission Impossible idea of being able to think so far ahead that you know what the diviner is going to do, and you know this and you know that, and you've blah, 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 blah. I felt it pushed it a bit, but I could buy into it, but I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay.
All right. What about you, Craig?
I'm also going to give it a 9. I liked how they gave us a lot of wrapping up, or answers, I should say. And I mean, not wrapping. I don't know if anything's wrapped up yet, but a lot of answers and threads going forward. Also, I don't know. I thought it was a good episode. You're right about the Mission Impossible thing. However, you can only anticipate so much. But they were working as a team, and that was what I got. They finally started to gel, and they were executing their plan, even though it didn't look like it at first. You go, oh crap, they screwed up, or it didn't work out like they thought. But I liked seeing that part. It was them coming back to work together as a team. So yeah, I definitely give it a 9 for sure.
Right.
I agree with both of you for the same reasons. Well written, great music, the acting, top notch. But it was some of the things that I just think were off for a kids show that knocked it down that peg. But
well, if this is not framed as a kids show,
I'd go 9.5, maybe even up to 10. It was that good. But I think
I think it's really weird because I get the feeling a lot of more mature Star Trek fans aren't watching Prodigy because they think it's a kid show. And I got to tell you, that's like, not really. I mean,
I thought I saw a lot of people talking about it online.
Now it's a lot of people are just not getting into it. And I think because they view it as, well, it's a Nickelodeon show.
Missing out. They're missing out.
Absolutely.
There's next year's cruise, Star Trek, the Cruise 6, which sails in 2023 about this time of year, has a question. If you want to join the group on Facebook, and it says, what is your favorite Star Trek episode? And I said, Prodigy and Lower Decks. I'm digging both of those right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, let's move on to our second story. No longer Prodigy. Now we're talking about Star Trek Discovery, which is back with the episode All In, written by Sean Cochran and directed by Christopher J. Byrne.
Is he an ancestor of Zephram Cochran?
I don't know.
Because, Zephram's got to be born about now, at least, because, he makes first contact in just a few years.
He's a half cousin once removed by, I don't know. And,
and Jen McGowan.
That was a Cliff Clavin answer.
Now, a very short synopsis on this one. Book and Tarka attempt to obtain isolinium for their weapon to defeat the DMA. Burnham and Owashikun travel to Portlandia. Portlandia to obtain charts of the area beyond the Great Barrier. Yes, the Great Barrier is back in this episode. I think this episode starts off in a very appropriate place. And that very appropriate place is that there is heck to pay for what just happened with Book and Tarka leaving with the new drive, the new spore drive, and heading off to execute their plan to destroy the DMA, even though that's not supposed to be the plan. Because the president of the Federation basically gives a huge dressing down to Vance and Burnham.
Yep.
Over all of this, and tells Burnham, yeah, you're not going to be involved with this anymore. You're just going to go, we need information about, species, the species 10C. So you're going to just scope out things, and that's it. That's all you're going to do.
Kind of like they shelved Picard after the Borg battle. Oh,
That's right.
yes, these are fascinating. A Class 3 comet. Sir, why are we out here chasing comets?
That's right.
Well, they won't get a chance to really find that out because then Vance comes along and says, yeah, I have to agree with the president in public, but behind the scenes, I need you to go in and try to fix this thing because they're not going to go to these places that we know where this stuff is. You're going to know where Book is going better than we're going to know. And you need to make this right.
And we'll totally, lose Michael Burnham and team. That's what I'm saying. He's like, they would never know where we were going.
Right. She hung out with them for a year, and they obviously have some history, but he goes someplace that they know together.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Starfleet, this is off Starfleet's charts. Like, you didn't think this through.
He went to that Circle K we stopped at one time to pick up some donuts. I know where he's at.
Yeah. Because you can get isolidium at the Circle K.
What I find interesting in this, though, is that Burnham takes along a Washikun, and she gives a briefing on the mission 10 seconds before they arrive at their destination. Nothing. She's saying, well, da-da-da, 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 da-da. Any questions? And they're there. Like,
oh, yeah.
Nice
that was like, wow, that was quick.
It was a brief briefing.
Hey, I will say that Points to Washikun, she got a lot of screen time.
Yes. So this is the second episode that we've had lots of time with her. We had the one in the episode, it was like one of the first episodes of the Pike season on Discovery, where they went down to the planet, New Eden, and she was on that away mission. We got a lot of her in that episode as well. So
this is probably the most we've heard her speak.
Absolutely.
And action scenes.
And fight.
Yeah. So we're introduced to a new character, Haz Mazzaro, who has a head shape kind of like Saru was originally intended, with not as many eyes.
No, fortunately, because that's creepy.
That long triangular. And he has an interesting dialect. So he's a club owner and a dealer? Well,
he runs what is referred to as a what was it now? I have
some kind of outpost,
like a casino kind of.
Well, it was a casino component to it, but there was also like this back room. Deals going on.
A karma barge.
Karma barge. That's what it was.
Apparently, a karma barge is not something unique to just what this guy has. It's essentially, it kind of looks like a riverboat. Really, because you've got these churning
side wheels, paddle wheels,
right, the paddle wheels.
Well, even back up just a little bit, they're flying to it, and there's that virtual dragon, or
you have a sea monster of some type.
Yeah. I was like, whoa, look at that thing! Oh, they're going right into the mouth. All of a sudden, he goes. It's like, oh, okay,
yeah, that's what
a hollow sea monster.
Really, a karma barge? And Burnham goes,
Karma barge. I have one of those in the freezer.
It's really hard to say too. Just say that karma barge several times fast.
Yeah.
Well, just watch out for the karma chameleon. Oh, we did see a changeling in the show.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Would that be a karma chameleon?
By the way, the guy, I can't remember his name. You mentioned it, Chuck. The guy that was running the
Haz Mazzaro.
Yeah.
You got to write these things down, man. Take notes.
He was an interesting character because I thought he would be kind of a dealer, not ruthless, but kind of detached. But he was telling Michael, "Hey, I really hope things work out for you guys." I'm like,
yeah.
He's like, they got some compassion there for him.
I was writing down his quotes like they were rules of acquisition or something. It was jab a Brussels fly and I'll scoot some green bread. That's when I thought the translator went offline.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it means something to somebody, so that it translated it correctly for that person.
Give a man a Torbach and you are warm in the desert. Whatever. Suddenly this is Darmok and Jalad.
Well, yeah.
Well, I like that fact because that is, I think we had this discussion about a universal translator. It's like, if it's an idiom, what does it translate? Does it translate verbatim?
Well, I thought the same thing when Burnham was at the poker table and she said, she threw out something like that.
Right. a very, very Earth-centric phrase.
And I'm like, okay, no one's going to know what that means.
Well, on the flip, I know. I think they're throwing these in. The writers are throwing these in there because it has the same inflections that a saying you would hear. A so and so has a so and so and so and so.
I'm a banta tree either way. I'm going to use that at some point. I'm going to find an excuse to use that one.
How about tomorrow at work?
This episode had a whole lot also of let's name drop and show as a bunch of different things, because we get mentions of a Betazoid, we get mention of Cardassians, we see a Tribble, we see a changeling, kind of the changeling disguises himself to look like a female changeling, like of Odo's species. We get to see a Zindi in there as well. So it's just kind of throwing all that stuff in at the same, one episode is going, look, it had a Lower Decks kind of feel to it at some points.
Yes.
Like, look, we're just going to throw in all this stuff.
It's reference time.
Yeah.
But while that's going on, while they're trying to haggle back and forth on this to get this rare substance that they need to make the bomb or take it away so they can't make the bomb, we find out back on Discovery that they need to investigate this region of space where they think species 10C is, but they don't have all this information. And we talk about the fact that Burnham is going to get these star charts. What leapt out at me, and I think is a connecting piece in here as well, see if you guys made the connection, that when they decide they're going to do this, and then Stamets is going to continue doing his investigating about this, Zora says, oh, that's beneath you to do that. Let me take care of this for you. You don't have to bother with this stuff. I'll do it. Now, the thing I think it's connected to is we see a scene later on where Culber is just falling apart. He's just beside himself.
Yeah.
Because
right.
As David Cronenberg said, I'm sorry, I'm still calling him David Cronenberg, as he said, you're overextending yourself. You're taking all this on. You're just going to crack. You're not taking any breaks. And he's cracking. He blames himself what Book did. And he needs to be, Stamets says, let's go just take a nice walk on the holodeck. How about that?
Roam in the flowers. Yeah.
You can't be responsible for everybody. But after he leaves, the dot unit takes out this light.
I thought that was just cleaning. I thought they were just sanitizing.
Yeah, I thought it was cleaning.
I don't know, because you spend a lot of time on that. I don't know. Because to me, it was like, that's odd. That
you are suspicious of everything now. They're just going to throw things in there to make Clinton go, I think we're onto something. Well, they spent too much camera time on that sandwich.
There's a piece of paper under his bunk. That means something.
I felt like they spent time on it. Because remember, every second you've got to render. Why did they spend time on that? Why did they spend the time? It's like, okay, they're gone. Beat 2, 3. It turns.
Hey, look. Star Trek 5. Why did they spend time on that? You could ask that all day.
No, why did they not spend time on that in Star Trek 5?
Carl in graphics needed a job. All right.
No. Carl in graphics contracted plenty of Star Trek to take care of. Believe me.
Contracted for 60 hours. He's in charge of the dot units. He didn't get his. We got to pay him for something.
Carl doesn't have enough to do on Star Trek right now. Carl needs to, see his boss.
Step it up, Carl.
Getting some more stuff to do. But I don't know. Because also it's the lingering on a shot that's always a tell. You have Zora say she can do this, and Stamets just stands there for a while it's going on. And it's like, okay, there's more there than just I'll do this work for you. There's something else going on. Whether it's maybe that's the case of Stamets is still a little. I'm mostly not suspicious of you anymore, but maybe a little bit. I don't know, but it seemed odd to me the time they spent on it. I'm just saying. We get to see Woshikun be doing the famous boxing trope. That I don't know. Has that ever happened in real life? Does that ever work out in real life?
Where you fail 3 times and then you get up and win? No.
Yeah, you just.
I think that was planned.
So you think she really was taking a dive?
I think they were raising the
hustling
stakes.
them, sandbagging them.
Yeah, I think they were sandbagging. They were raising the stakes, and then because she all of a sudden flipped a switch, and she was able to beat him handily.
But they had raised it to the level that they needed, I think, the second time, and then she went a third time and fell down again. Because I think it was now 10-1 odds, and they needed like 3 times the amount of latinum that they had, and they were now up to 10 times the amount. And she still took a dive, if that's the case, and then got up and did it.
Then it went to 45-1 in the final game, right? And that's when Burnham put in a bet. They made it very clear that, hold on, put all this on.
I thought she had bet. Oh, okay. I thought she had bet before. And that was just like this. Yeah. These huge bars of latinum. It's like, where was she hiding those? She have like those cartoon pockets.
I like how they just reach in their jacket. Here, I got another one. Here's another one. I don't like carrying my wallet in a coat. It's like, it feels funny. Much less latinum. Jeez.
Latinum in a Star Trek uniform. Now that would be fun to watch.
Maybe that's why their uniforms are not even.
Ah, I see.
There's only one pocket, and it's full of latinum.
Yeah.
Craig solved the asymmetrical uniform mystery.
Yeah, figured it out.
At last.
Then we get into the poker game,
which
for the fate of the universe.
I don't know. Can you raise your hand if you thought the poker game was like a little too long?
Yeah. Well, to the Sovlo goes the Spud.
Also, yeah. Also,
there's another one.
Also, I had a problem with the fact that you had the owner of the casino sitting at the table and could not recognize 2 people giving signals to each other.
That was pretty bad.
I don't think
those
he
were
cared.
Obvious signals.
I don't think he cared as much as the couple that he brought in to try and.
Well, didn't he say like no cheating, or maybe he thought, well, I don't care if these guys cheat, but you guys, you can't.
Well,
you two
he knows Michael and Book. I think he was taking a little bit of a blind eye for that.
All right, because I mean, it's clear. It's like he knocks with something on the table, and all of a sudden, Burnham goes, "Yeah, I'm out." It's like,
I'm
really?
just all talk. Yeah.
Hey, and watching him play cards, my wife was like, "Are those cards good?" I said, "I have no idea," because they had all they did was not even numbers, but symbols and.
Yeah, it was like Nuvolian poker or something. They had a name for it. It's like, okay, clearly it's a different deck.
There were face cards. And
I'm surprised they weren't octagonal or something.
No, the Battlestar Galactica going on there.
Yeah. Had the corners cut off.
Glad you picked up on that.
That's right.
And in the end, the book wins.
No surprise. Saw that coming an hour ago.
And Burnham says, you don't really want to take that. You want to like not do this. And he takes off with it.
I actually, for just a brief moment, I was like, okay, maybe she's getting to him. And then, no.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. Saw
I
it
think
coming.
you're supposed to read it as that she did, quote unquote, get to him, but he's going to do it anyway. Right? Like he says, I understand your point. I care about you. I'm sorry that this is just going to destroy us. And I understand, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway, which still leaves the door open for him to not do it.
Yep.
You leave that tiny little possibility. It's not going to happen.
Maybe Michael let him win.
So he could get away with the surprise tracker that she put on the.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, when she put that secret Apple AirTag,
Isolinium. Same one that Spock put on Kirk before he beamed down to
Beryllium patch.
Yeah,
and kind of the same thing that Dahl put onto the crystal.
It was a very Star Trek moment.
Yeah, I've always thought that Beryllium patch looked like a caterpillar. Here, we'll see you later, Kirk.
Yeah, this is the second time when this is like bouncing back and forth between these two shows because, like I said, Dahl put the communicator on the crystal so he could track, to find out where the Ferengi had taken it and beam it out of there. So it's like, okay, and again,
Apple AirTag.
I am hoping these shows are I'm hoping these shows are communicating with each other somehow. That Are you sure you want to do that? Because we're doing exactly the same thing in our third episode.
Well, we know Dr. Aaron is on all of them, so hopefully she can be a conduit and go, really? We're doing that again?
Well, they're paying her, so maybe she won't.
That's right. I'm not going to call it everything.
This sounds great.
And then we get the final reveal back at
which is
HQ.
Okay, but we got two things going on here. We got the final.
Yeah, they were also getting a second dressing down.
Right. They get that, and again, I also keep recalling that I felt at the beginning of the season that somehow we weren't going to see Vance after this season, and now you have the president like yelling at him all the time about stuff, and she clearly knows that he's the one that kind of gave Burnham the okay to go on this mission. And
I think he's lightened up a little bit because Michael enabled him to have his family back. So I think that he's lightened up because he appreciates what she's enabled.
Right. Well, I think he called her the best, most creative officer that he's met.
Okay. He's really putting his cards on the table. Let's just lay him out here. Speaking of card games.
So we have that, and we find out where they are and that they're putting the bomb together clearly.
And then they decrypt the map and go, wait a minute.
If 228 million kilometer wide thing.
Like an electric Dyson sphere, which sounds kind of like a fan in my house, but the entire solar system and some star and some planets is in this energy barrier. And they say, what kind of power would it take to drive that thing? And they said, whoa, wait a minute. If that's their solar system, and then she gets the idea, which seems kind of out of the blue, like boromite. Yes, that's what they would need to power that boromite. Check and see if there's any boromite at the places where the DMA has been.
Nope.
There's none. So it must be mining it so they can make super energy stuff. And they went, oh my, because if that's their dredge, as she said, then imagine what their weapons are going to be like.
The little backyard drill to go looking for things.
I thought that wrapped up a little too quickly.
Yes. Again, especially when you consider how long the poker scene was.
How long the whole first half of the season was. We don't know anything about the DMA. We don't know anything about the DMA. And then you finally go, oh, it's from this other species. Now we know who sent it, sort of. It took us till episode 7 to get there.
And to Clinton's point, it was like watching the World Series of Poker.
Exactly.
Days long.
Only with more facial expressions in the first half.
Hey, but going back just for a moment, going back to that, I love how Michael was handling that whole thing. At first, she was being, instead of putting on a poker face, she was doing one of those, being wild and talkative and very disturbing. Animated. Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
All right, well, let's rate this one on a scale of 1 to 10. Let's say, I was going to say pieces of boronite.
Okay.
How about that? So we go in reverse order. We'll start with Chuck. What did you think of All In?
Are you all in, Chuck? Are you all in?
Generally, I liked it, but it left me a little flat. The fight scene was fun but protracted. 4 rounds. Poker game too long. Ending too short. So I'm gonna go with a 7.5 on this one. It didn't really, thrill me to death. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't stellar, to make a pun.
Mm-hmm. All right, Craig, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 8.5. I thought I liked it. I liked all the story beats and everything. I did like, again, talking about Westcon. She started getting under Tarka's skin a little bit.
Yes, I made a note about that as well. She was pushing his buttons for a while, and he finally,
I think she
started to show. He didn't really explain it, but he started to crack.
Yeah, he was like, it was getting too close to whatever he's actually hiding. So something's there. So I think really she was a little bit of the star of the show. I think. So anyway, I would say 8.5. I like the show, but for some of the reasons we talked about, the poker game went on a little long. I like the fight scene, maybe a little long too. So anyway, like it.
Okay, and I'm going to give it a 7. I on a surface level, it was fun, but part of me was always at the same time going, the fight scene is too long, way too long. We know how it's going to turn out. The poker thing is going on way too long, and we know essentially how it's going to turn out.
Would a changeling really change into a tribble to get away?
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
They're not the fastest creature, but wow, that one sure.
That one booked it. That one really was moving.
Checking for doping.
Yeah, and we had this strange thing in here where it's like, let's drop a lot of names of things just to be very, as I said, lower decks about stuff going on. So a lot of it was gnawing at me while I'm watching it, going, it's fun, but I don't know. At the same time, it's. I thought it was lazy. I thought it was a lazy bit of writing plot wise that you could have come up with something more interesting than a boxing match and a poker game
at a place where they'll never find us here. Found you.
And maybe they didn't know ahead of time, but since this was the beginning of this after a hiatus, you're right. It should have been something a little more meatier, or to get the juices going.
The other bidder is Book, right? I would have just given her the dumb eyes, like, did you really just ask that question?
Right. That's right.
All right. Well, that's our opinions about this, but
although she did have a cool nickname. Joanne! Oh, wow! Oh, Washakoon!
Yeah.
That one deserves the reverb.
That all by herself.
Joanne! Oh, wow! Oh, Washakoon!
All right. You can tell us your rating. You don't have to put an echo on it. That's fine. Right. Give us your feedback over in the on our Facebook page. If you have some thoughts about either of these 3 episodes, but a 2-parter.
I started to say give us a call, but I don't think we have a.
We do not. We do not currently. We'll work.
Whatever we get, it has to end with 8735 because that's Trek. Find that.
All right, I'm on the hunt now.
1, 2. All right. Time for our Warp Speed Roundtable. Really quickly, I came across one of the news stories, and it was Playmates revealing its first set of 2022 Star Trek figures based on classic Trek and current series, because you have a Burnham and a Saru in there, which is great. But the classic Trek, Kirk, Spock, and Khan. And my question is, are we just overusing Khan when it comes to classic Trek between references, the movies, everything seems...
When has it never been Kirk, Spock, and McCoy? What?
Right. So I just feel like Khan is elevated. Okay, it was a really good movie, but it was one episode of the series, and it was one of their 6 movies.
Yeah.
Why are we defaulting to that all the time? So my feeling is that, I think we need to, and we're going to have another Khan in Strange New Worlds that apparently is somehow connected to Khan. And it's like, okay,
a thing, not a Khan.
Back.
Yeah.
That's what do you guys think?
I totally agree with you. I think the movie was so good and everybody appreciated it. I think them trying to go back to the well all the time kind of cheapens it a little bit. I mean, I'm not talking about just for toys and stuff.
Even our show is just Khan just pops in randomly.
Yeah. We don't pander to anybody.
Kirk just yells his name a lot. I don't know if he's actually here.
So, but I think they go back to the well a lot. And it's not just Khan, but I think they do that with a lot of, especially in the show, a lot of Easter eggs. I think
the Mirror Universe certainly has a lot of that time. Oh, hold on. How about you, Chuck? What do you think?
I agree. Fun, but not. He shouldn't be in front of McCoy, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, they totally ignore the three-way relationship that Kirk, Spock, and McCoy had, which I think added to Star Trek, or at least the original crew. And he always gets a kind of a back seat, McCoy, and that sucks.
Right. Well,
But
he should have worked on his pecs, and then he would have been
Ethan Fex. Yeah,
Hey.
I think, but I do believe that hiding all of these, even any movies, they do this in Star Wars, they do this in Marvel. There's so many Easter eggs. It's one thing to put a callback in and maybe work it in later on, but they put in so many Easter eggs. It's like they're really just, I don't know.
Well, that's why you go to YouTube after a movie comes out on YouTube now. It's like, here are all the Easter eggs, and we explain the end scene to you. Okay,
the 300 Easter eggs. Yeah, I think they just dropped way too many in there. One or two here and there. Yeah, that's great, but it's just too much.
Except when they do it on Lower Decks, and we love it then. So they have it.
I was thinking about that too. I went, Lower Decks gets a little bit of a pass though, because
it's meant to be comedic.
Fun.
Yeah, it's its premise. That's its whole bit. That's its thing.
Yeah, but yeah.
All right. Well, on that thought, and again, you can let us know what you think about this. If it's too much con, and we all just have a little bit less con going on here.
We all get along.
Exactly. Over on our Facebook page, if you have some comments on that. But for right now, it's time to refill the dilithium chamber and warp on out of here. You can find me, Clinton, at Comedy Forecast, all one word, with the number 4.com. And you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook and MeWe and Twitter. And I'm thinking that also, that bag, the grocery bag over there, that you meaning to recycle, but you put stuff in it and you can't remember what's the stuff was you put in it. It's just like hanging out over in the corner. Look
paper
inside.
Or plastic?
I mean, well, it's a paper bag. So I'm just like over there in the corner as well. Who speaks for you guys?
Go ahead, Craig.
All right. So if you want to find us, and I know you do, go look for Technorama Podcast.
Oh, I want to find you guys.
Dying to get you.
That's right. Go search for Technorama Podcast on Google, and you'll find all the places we're at. We're at chuckchat.com. And of course, like I said, Facebook and all these other places. So just search for Technorama Podcast and you will find us.
And don't forget, lots of stories. Lots of stories over in the show notes if you want to check all those out.
And there sure are. There's a good many.
Where are they?
They're over in the show notes for episode 108 over at thetopicistrek.com. And with that, it's time to hit the theme, boys. If you like the show, please be sure to tell a friend about it and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter at thetopicistrek, visit our Facebook page, or visit thetopicistrek.com. Until next time, on behalf of Chuck, Craig, and myself, I'm Clinton, thanking you for listening. And as we always say here on The Topic is Trek, don't put on the red
shirt. Because it doesn't fit.
I got through it. It's not really red. It's kind of a pale pink.
Phew, and we thought the poker game was long.
Yeah.
Oh, an hour and a half.
Wow. That's a show with not a lot of show notes.
Oh, I had a dream last night that I showed up to Dragon Con and was completely unprepared. We didn't have any show ready to go. I didn't register anybody for the parade.
That wasn't a dream. That was last year.
It's been the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's right.
So, all right. Well,
wait. Diane says DeForest Kelley likeness rights expired.
I don't think they expired, Diane. I think it's just that they don't.
His lawyers didn't give him the.
I mean, we get Kirk and Spock much more prominent these days, and if there's another figure that's there, a lot of times it's Khan and it's not McCoy. It's weird. I don't know. It's also the same thing with like, oh, let's just have lots and lots of mirror universe all the time, which I think we're going to see.
DS9, that became old.
Yeah, well, I loved it in DS9 when they get to the point where it's like, we don't even explain anymore how we get here. We just kind of pop back and forth between universes.
Right.
Like, not a problem. Barely.
I don't see anywhere online talking about his likeness being expired.
Yeah, well, that's why she's got question marks, and she's wondering if maybe that's
just
why it's the case. But no, I think it's just that.
I think they just throw that in there, Khan in there, because he's recognizable.
Yeah,
and they go, oh, that was from one of their best films.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy at a certain point. It's like, well, he's most recognized because that's who you show all the time.
Yeah. That's right. So Khan is winning, even in death.
That's right. He will avenge himself.
Right. It's Kirk, Spock, and Lieutenant Kyle.
Yeah, that I'd buy that for $1 and nothing more than $1.
Did you watch the NCIS ST episode?
Oh yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. I had that in my notes. I will mention it next time around. There was an episode of NCIS a couple of weeks ago called, I think, All Hands as opposed to All In or something. And obviously NCIS is on CBS. So it's kind of this weird cross promotion where there's a lot of references to Trek at the beginning of the episode. And then there is a payoff. You have this long stretch in the middle where there's nothing. And I thought, okay, we're done at that point. But no, there's a payoff at the end to all of that. So yes, I did get a chance to watch it, Dan, and I had it down, but I forget. So we'll mention it next time. The good thing is that I watched it on Paramount Plus because you can just go there and check it out.
What episode was it?
Like I said,
I guess
it's
current
this
season. So.
It's only from like a couple of weeks ago. It's like All Hands, I think.
Oh, here it is. It is this.
Yeah.
It's the second to last one, I guess they got here. So it was on January 17th, episode 11. Okay.
So we will mention that next time, and like I said, people can go back very easily and check that episode out.
So Star Trek: The Cruise 6 is next year. Interesting. They've got date February 24th, which is a Friday. It's going Friday to Friday out of LA.
They usually go
Saturday to Saturday.
Oh, Saturdays to Saturdays.
I wonder if it's just like an East Coast, West Coast, or docking times or something. So Friday to Friday, leaves LA, goes to Cabo San Lucas, which is the tip of the Baja Peninsula, Mazatlan, which is almost right across from that, and Puerto Vallarta, which is where Donna and I went on our honeymoon 30-some years ago.
Oh,
so that'll be 2023 will be our 35th wedding anniversary.
Well, if you left something behind by mistake, you can go back and pick it up.
Yeah, that's right. Lost and found.
Donna does not have fond memories of Puerto Vallarta.
No.
But we were on, you got to remember, we were poor starving college students on a budget. So we did not stay at the high end hotel. We were in this place called Las Palmas. And it was rainy and it was damp, and we woke up to roaches the first night.
Wonderful.
So I crushed it with my shoe. The next day, it's still twitching. Going, wow, these are hardy little suckers, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they weren't quarter-inch cockroaches either.
Oh, look, we got breakfast.
An inch or more.
Yay.
Can we have a different room? We asked.
Okay, but the same thing's gonna happen.
Yeah. If you ask her memories, we remember the same things, but in different ways. Like, oh yeah, I remember riding a horse down the beach. She goes, yeah, I was sore for 2 days. Oh, remember we went parasailing? And the guy who hooked me up had the same swimsuit every day all week. Okay. I'm glad we had a good time. Remember going into town? Oh, you mean when we got talked into a timeshare talk, but we didn't buy anything?
Right. Well, if I had a dime every time I sat through one of those.
Yeah, there's memories that you have, and then there's the reality that when the missus says, "Here's the deal."
Yeah, that's right.
They got us right off the plane. They could spot suckers a mile away.
Should we end the broadcast at this point too?
We should probably end the broadcast at this point. Thank you everybody for watching, and we hope that you watch us live, we do this every other Thursday or as often as we can. 7:30 Pacific, no, 9:30 Eastern time. We'll just go with that. So if you subscribe to our YouTube page or our YouTube channel, we'd love to see more subscribers over there. You
like and subscribe.
The topic is Trek.
I'm going to add that to the outro, actually.
I said that to people on the way out of church.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
Bye.
Bye.
Click that notification bell.